How did your academic studies in computer science, history, and economics shape how you think?
You have to realize that you don't come into things intentionally. They emerge. The meaning emerges. You know, the meaning of your life emerges over time, and the meaning of businesses emerges. But when I look at computer science, you know, and that whole engineering, it comes out of engineering, right? It's really a very rigorous, you know, if you write a program that has one line of code off, it won't compile, it won't run. So there's a very strict set of rules and laws that you have to follow in order to make a good program that's going to produce a result. So it's very technical, it's very precise, it's very, you know, methodical. History, on the other hand, is not so much. You know, it's the march of time, the movements of this, and so you can, you know, 10 historians will look at the same historical event and have multiple perspectives. But what history teaches you, and what it taught me, is that nothing is ever new. You know, we think, oh, the internet's new. Well, yeah, but 100 years ago, when the telephone network showed up, we were saying the same things about telephones that we now say about the internet. Right? So the telephones were going to democratize the world. They were going to cause world peace and so on and so forth. I mean, you know, so, right. You know, the same kinds of things. So to me, what history's lesson is that everything's in a cycle. You know, it's the repeating cycle. It might be a new context, new elements, but ultimately you're going back and repeating the same things over and over again. It's kind of like, you know, Groundhog Day, but with variance, you know. So from a human point of view, I think it's, if you can really understand history, you know, then you can, and really what really drove history, then when you come back to new patterns that seem new, you actually have historical references to go back and realize that it's not really that new, and wow, there's this model here, and this is similar. Like, for example, we look at some of our current conflicts. These conflicts have been going on for a long time. In Afghanistan, you know, Iraq, the Middle East. These conflicts were happening long before America was involved, or the British were involved, or the Europeans were. These things have been going on for a long time.
Right.
But we got kind of go, well, we're here and we've arrived and we have these new, you know, things. That's where the lack of historical knowledge causes a real issue, because that history is real to those people. Economics is kind of concerned with that question. How do we organize resources efficiently? Yeah. And you know, the debate about, do we plan the allocation of resources? So those communist, you know, central planning model. Do we decentralize it? And of course, there's a balance between the two. Recently, we found out that if you let people do whatever they want to do, then they'll take advantage of the situation. You know, oh, interesting. Okay, so it's not quite the free market that one would want to. You know, it needs regulation, right? And yet, I think the debate is pretty much closed on, yeah, one organism can't decide the allocation of resources.
That's right. So
those questions are really important, you know, and I think the questions that each of those disciplines asks are really important. And together, you know, both specifically and broadly, for me, they just keep me very, again, very light on my feet and keep my brain pliant, you know, so I can look at the same phenomenon and get very different answers from these multiple perspectives, and then decide what I'm going to do based on the three, you know, ways of looking at it.